Hello guys, welcome to my channel once again. Today we'll be talking about the body measurements. For you to be a good fashion designer, you have to actually understand how to take an accurate body measurement. Body measurement is the most critical thing when it comes to fashion design, and you have to understand it, every single part of it, so that by the time you take your measurement on a client, it looks exactly what you want and how you've actually thought about it. So today we'll be talking about teaching you how to understand the body measurement and everything is about it. So we'll be using our model today. So we're going to be using her body to teach you everything you need to understand. So now we want to take it, we are going to be starting with the upper part of the body measurement. For blouses, for everything that has to do with the upper part of the body. That's what I'll be taking you today, and some part of the lower side of the body. So today we're going to be talking about the shoulder. Now, starting with the shoulder. The shoulder is very, very key when it comes to taking body measurement. The shoulder is very, 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 very important. And when you look at a female, this is a female body measurement, not a male. Male have their own way of taking the body measurement. We're talking about the female body measurement. So when you're going to be taking the shoulder of a female, when you raise your hand up for every female, especially if you do not know where to start with the shoulder, when you raise her hand up, you place your finger here, you feel the part of the shoulder rotating or moving. That's actually where the shoulder is starting from. So different individual with different shoulder length. So now I'm going to replace. I'm going to turn it out to the back. Now you see, we're going to be watching what will happen from the back. Now we're going to be placing our tape measure from here over to the end of that part, and has this 14.5. Our own body measurement, our own shoulder measurement is actually 14.5. Now that is for the shoulder. Make sure you see the way I placed it. You see the way I placed it, like this, down to this part. You can see how I placed it, so you have to understand how it is placed. So so we have 14.5. Now we're going to be talking about the neck circumference. The neck circumference is also very important for if you're going to be doing a collar, if you're going to be doing some things that have to involve with the neck. So now we're going to be taking, when you take your measurement round and take round, now look at her neck. You'll find a place that is looking in, everybody has it in their neck. I see this place is inwards. So now you place it, you place your two fingers in between. Place two fingers in between. Now her neck circumference is 14. Please do not make it too tight, except otherwise. When we are taking a standard body measurement, you place your two fingers in between and you will see that ours is 14. Now that is for the neck. Then the next thing we're talking about the bust circumference. Everything we are doing today, we're talking about the circumference. Then we're going to be going downwards later. So now this is the bust. Now we're going to be put your tape measure round over her nipple, and make sure your client is wearing a good bra, or else you will not get the accurate bust measurements. So over her nipple. Now I've also placed my two fingers. When you place it round, we have what? Over her nipple. You must go over the fullest part of our bust. So we have what? We have 35. Now, when you look backward, especially for clients that are on the fatter side, you must make sure that not only fatter side, because we have some clients that have some extra, at the back. So you have to be very careful. So you have to place your tape measurement, making sure that it's going round that extra also. Then to the front. Now that is for the bust. Now we're going to be taking for under the bust. Most fashion styles you cannot escape under the bust, especially this recent fashion that we have. You cannot escape anything under the bust. So we're going to be doing it under the bust. Under the bust is directly that part that your bra sits. That your bra sits. That's exactly where the bust, under the bust is. So you also do the same. Place your go round. Now, when you are doing under the bust, our advice, if your client is not wearing a good bra, please use your hands to tighten it and lift it up a bit. Now, we have placed it under. We have our under bust is 29.5. Our under bust is 29.5. Now, we're going to be doing the waist. If you want to actually do the waist, you must, our advice, if you're a starter, you tie something. If you're a starter, our advice, you tie something around the waist for starters so you will not miss it. And this is it. We have tied something around her waist here. So now I can tell exactly where her waistline is. Now, because not all clients you may be able to find that easily. And if you're a starter, I advise that you do it. So now we take the circumference again. Now her waist is 26.5. Her waist is what? 26.5. Now that is our waist. That is our first waist. Because actually we have different kind of waist. By the time you begin to go into fashion proper, you understand why we have the first waist and we have the second waist. Now that is our first waist. That is our first waist. Is actually the thinnest part of her body. That's actually the first waist. Now we're going to the second waist. The second waist is where you have a belly button. The second waist is where you have a belly button, and it's applicable in different areas. So you're going to be, some people also call it belly, tummy area. Some call it second waist, some call it tummy. So by the time you see it, you'll be able to understand. Now, because many people have a smaller waist and a little tummy around the abdomen area. So now we're going to be taking the measurement of our tummy, just where the abdomen belly button is. And you can see we have it as what? 28. We have it as 28. Now that is for the second waist or the tummy area. Now the other thing we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about the hips. Now this is, we're going to be talking about the hips. The hips now is where your hips is protruding. Everybody have different areas of hips, so that is where your hips is what your hips is. So we're saying where we have the hips. Now you can see this is actually our hips, where our hip bones are the widest part of our body. You can see there's something protruding around there. Also, you can know from the way, from if you want to also find your hips, if you raise her close up, the part where the bottom is protruding. So that's another thing. So if you cannot locate yours at this area, which I'll tell you later what we call it, it's also, you can come to the back to locate it. So now we're going to be taking the circumference measurement. Now I'm going round. Our hips is 37. Our hips is actually 37. That is actually our hips. Now we are going to, that's everything you need to know for the upper part. Now if you're talking about the lower part of the body, these are for mainly for trousers. It doesn't really apply for skirts. The circumference I'll be taking now doesn't apply for skirts. It applies mainly for trousers. So now we're going to be taking the tie. It is called the upper tie. The upper tie. Now we take it this way, not this way. Please note, not this way. You're going to be taking it this way. If you take it this way, you will see that her tie is 22.5. But if you take it this way, you will see that it's 24. Because the upper tie has a connection with this bone here. So if you take it this way, no, you have 22. But if you take it connecting to the upper tie, you have 23.5. Now same happens to the mid tie. we're taking the mid thigh, which is 21, and taking the knee, which is what, 16, and that is how it goes downwards. So subsequently, when we have other tutorials, you understand how these things are being applied. Now we're going to be taking the lengthwise of everything. We have done the circumference. Now we're going to be taking the lengthwise of everything. Now for us to take, now we're going to be taking the length of her bust, the length of the bust. Now remember that we have done the circumference of the bust. Now we're going to be talking about the length of the bust. Now the length of the bust is actually called from shoulder to nipple. Shoulder to nipple. Now you place your tape measurement on the shoulder blade of your customer. Now you place your tape measurement on the shoulder blade and take it down to where her nipple is. So her bust point is actually 10. Her bust point is what? 10. Or let's say, if I raise the brow up, sorry, her bust point is 9.5. 9.5. If you want to do 10, you can also do 10. Now the same, placing the tape measure at the nail, at the shoulder blade, we have the under bust, which is 13 or 13. We have our under bust, which is 13. We are still working with it. Now we have our waist. It's the most tiny part of our waist. We have it as 16. We have it as 16. Now the same thing goes down on and on. Then we have the hip of blouse. It's called hip of blouse. With time, you will understand all this. So the hip of blouse is where your blouse measurement should be sitting. And a hip of blouse is where you have your pelvic bone. Where you have your pelvic bone. And a hip of blouse is what? 22.5. It's 22.5, or you can also use 23 for her. But here we have 22.5. That is actually called her shoulder, hip of blouse. Now there's something we call where your hip is located, the hip circumference. There's something called the body rise. Now the body rise is to know from your waist, your actual waistline, or whichever waist you want to use, to the hip. And the length between your actual waistline to the hip is known as your body rise. Is known as your body rise. So now we're placing the tape measure and we're going to be putting it to that place. And what we have for her is actually 7.5. What we have for her is 7.5. Exactly where the hip bone is where it is. So what we have for her is what? Is 7.5. That is called your body rise. With time, when you follow us in our subsequent classes, you will understand how to apply all these measurements. And really, if you follow and you understand it, you will not have issues while making. Okay, so it's at the body rise that you get the hips. That is where you can now get your hip circumference that we have done earlier. So now we're now talking about the length. If it's your length of pants, if it's your length of skirt, if it's your length of anything, that is where you now place wherever you want to measure your length. From here, you can measure any of your, from here you can measure the length of anything. So if you're talking about length of skirts, you place, depends on where you want to place your skirts, but if you want it to be at the waistline, you place it at the waistline, you take your length of skirt. So this is your knee length skirt. Knee length skirt. From here is your calf length skirt at the calf. Then the ankle length is down. Same applies to your trousers. So if you are taking any of the circumference, if it's your calf circumference, you just take it like this. Put your two, depends on how wide you want it to be. If you want to take your ankle, you also do the same, depending on how wide you want it to be. So basically, this is how to take a body measurement. So let's talk about the arm. Same happens to the arm. You want to take the length of your arm. You go like this. Place also at the shoulder. This is your upper arm. Here is your upper arm. Then here is your mid arm. Then here is your elbow arm. Then down to the length of your arm. So the length of your arm is going to be from here down to the length of your arm. Then here, if you're making a cuff for your shirt, this is where you take your measurement for the cuff. Then if you're doing your elbow measurement round, remember to always place your 2 fingers in between. So this is basically everything you need to understand. Then we have, for the upper part, sorry I missed it earlier, we have something called nipple to nipple. If you want to get your dart point, with time, as you progress, you will see many reasons where you apply all these things. So with time, so if you want to get your nipple to nipple, like if you want to get your darts when you are making last point, this is how to get your nipple to nipple. You place it from here to here. So our nipple to nipple actually is 7. Our nipple to nipple is actually 7. So these are the things that we need basically in making a dress, whether trousers, whether skirts. These are the things that we actually need. So with all this, you're able to understand any subsequent video that I'll be posting, so that it won't sound strange or sound new to you. So you're able to understand every subsequent videos that we'll be posting regarding fashion design. Please, if you have any question, I'll appreciate that you drop it at the comment section, and I'll do my best